She joins us now, sharing her story. Natanya, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999 and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last couple of days.
Law enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York, but I didn't realize the extent of J.Lo's involvement.
After Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the gun mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J.Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them, people have started digging into her past and it raises some questions.
In a twist that nobody anticipated, Jennifer Lopez, an icon renowned for her impeccable image billion-dollar empire and decades-spanning fame, is now entangled in the maelstrom of the Diddy trial. And this isn't some fleeting mention or passing rumor.
I can tell you that immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she has to say, as well as those jurors.
When she was on the stand, at times she became visibly upset, wiping away tears as she gave her evidence.
This is direct allegedly. Her name surfaced in connection to recordings Cassie Ventura revealed during her explosive testimony recordings that prosecutors claim were part of a troubling pattern of dominance. What's intensifying this further is the timing mere days after Cassie unleashed that courtroom revelation. As we discussed earlier in the first part, Jennifer Lopez reportedly boarded a private jet and fled the country. No media appearances, no clarifications, just vanished.
As we talked about in the first part,
disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, once known for his lavish lifestyle and living large in his multi-million-dollar mansions, has a new home as he awaits trial in his federal case. Last week, the Bad Boy Founder's defense team unsuccessfully fought to keep the music producer out of federal jail after his arrest. Now his new digs once house other high-profile inmates, including R. Kelly, Fetty Wap, Sam Bankman-Fried, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Diddy is currently housed at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, a stark difference from the glitz, glamour, and wealth in Hollywood and Star Island in Miami Beach, Florida. But MDC Brooklyn has been described as hell on earth, with horrifying conditions. The facility, which now houses Diddy, opened in the early 90s and is the only federal jail in New York City after the Bureau of Prisons closed its Metropolitan Correctional Center in 2021 after many issues came to light in the wake of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide just 2 years earlier.
But is not criminal. Now, Abby, that video that you just spoke about was a few months ago when our team broke this disturbing video of...
Fans weren't merely shocked. They were concerned because when someone of her prominence makes a move that abrupt, especially after being tied even loosely to a scandal, this massive, it doesn't seem like chance. It seems like strategy if the whispers are accurate. If Jennifer Lopez was linked to that period in ways we never realized, then this isn't just a gossip distraction, it's a redefining of pop culture history. Because what began as a federal case against Diddy is now pulling in names nobody foresaw, and at the heart of that storm is J.Lo caught between the dazzling past she's tried to separate from, and the courtroom firestorm that refuses to let her go. Before there was Bennifer, before Las Vegas, residencies, Netflix deals, and halftime shows, there was Diddy and Jennifer Lopez, the original high-drama celebrity duo from 1999 to 2001. They were inseparable and impossible to overlook. They weren't just dating, they were omnipresent, red carpet premieres, award shows, music, videos, paparazzi magnets. But behind the designer outfits and flashing lights, their relationship was turbulent, toxic. According to Lopez herself, it was a bond that spiraled quickly. The breaking point, the notorious December 1999 nightclub shooting. In Manhattan, shots rang out. Chaos erupted. Both Diddy and J.Lo were detained after fleeing the scene in his car. She was later cleared of all wrongdoing, but the harm to her reputation and to the relationship was irreparable. Lopez later said it was one of the most traumatizing moments of her life, and it forced her to question everything about the world she was part of. In an interview years later, she stated, "It was the first time I was with someone who wasn't loyal. It really sent my whole life into a tailspin." That line hit differently in 2003, but today it strikes like a warning, because what we now understand about that period of Diddy's life, about his alleged pattern of manipulation, control, and fixation with image, casts a very different shadow on what Lopez endured behind closed doors if she was caught in the sphere of that same controlling behavior, and if she appeared in recordings now being used as evidence in court. It's not mere gossip, it's potential fallout on a scale her team likely never anticipated. For the irony, back then, J.Lo appeared to escape the turmoil. She walked away with her career unscathed, reinvented herself, built an empire, but with the Diddy trial probing every facet of his past, her clean slate might not be as pristine as it once appeared, because this isn't just about being Diddy's ex. This is about whether she observed or was unwittingly entangled in things the public was never meant to see. And if any fragment of that resurfaces during this trial, it could reshape everything for her, for him, for the entire legacy of that tabloid-fueled era. Cassie Ventura's time on the witness stand wasn't just emotional, it was seismic. What started as a deeply personal account about control fear and years of coercion swiftly transformed into a moment that redirected the entire course of the trial. Her words didn't just expose Diddy, they cracked open a vault many thought would never be accessed. She detailed how Diddy allegedly engineered scenarios designed to control, monitor, and break her down. But then came the shock. Nobody was ready for the recordings. According to Cassie, these weren't isolated events. They were filmed, archived, cataloged. And this is where it gets explosive. Some of them, she alleged, dated back before her time, before she even met Diddy, implying other women, other celebrities, possibly other relationships, all caught on tape. That disclosure sent the courtroom into chaos. Prosecutors leaned in, journalists scrambled. For quotes, social media ignited. Because if those recordings existed, and if they predated Cassie's involvement, then suddenly the scope of this trial wasn't just about her. It was about a pattern, a system, a history. And then the whispers began. Rumors from unnamed sources suggested that one of those early recordings, possibly more than one, might feature Jennifer Lopez. It was the kind of rumor that doesn't need evidence to ignite the moment. Cassie hinted that other prominent women could be on those recordings. The internet erupted within hours. TikTok sleuths were scouring old footage. Fan accounts began stitching together timelines. Reddit threads surged with comparisons between Cassie's testimony and J.Lo's old interviews about her chaotic years with Diddy. Even mainstream news outlets started rebroadcasting clips from the late 90s, suddenly relevant in a whole new and grimmer context. The court hasn't verified anything. No names on the recordings have been officially disclosed. But when you combine Cassie's shocking account, the historical timeline, and Lopez's very visible withdrawal from the spotlight, you don't need confirmation, you just need suspicion. And that suspicion, it's spreading rapidly. Because if Jennifer Lopez was in any of those recordings even passively, it reopens a chapter of her life that she has fought hard to close. And in this trial, nothing buried is staying buried for long. The moment Cassie's testimony made headlines, sharp-eyed. Fans noticed something else. Jennifer Lopez was suddenly nowhere to be found. Just days earlier, she was making public appearances, smiling for cameras, promoting skincare business as usual. And then, like clockwork, she was gone. A private jet, a discreet takeoff, and next thing anyone knew, she was photographed stepping off a plane in southern Europe, far from New York, and even farther from a subpoena. Her team insisted it was a long-planned retreat, a personal escape, but the timing impossible to ignore, especially when the trial she's now rumored to be linked to was escalating. And Cassie had just revealed the very recordings that online investigators now believe she may appear in it. Didn't take long for the speculation to go viral. News blogs titled their articles, "J.Lo disappears as Diddy recordings surface." YouTubers posted timelines showing how her departure aligned exactly with the first day Cassie took the stand. Twitter threads dissected her flight path, the hotel she checked into, and whether she had any legal reasons to avoid returning to the US in the near term. And the real question everyone's asking, what is she evading? Because this isn't just a vacation. Lopez has canceled, press, skipped red carpets, postponed fan events for someone who's built an entire empire on being omnipresent all the time. This silence is deafening. Legal insiders say that if even a trace of her name appears in the trial, evidence, especially in the form of filmed footage, she could be summoned as a material witness that would compel her to testify, potentially under oath, to address what she knew, what she saw, or what she may have been part of, and whether she was involved willingly or unwittingly. It doesn't matter in the public eye. The connection alone could be enough to spark brand fallout, sponsorship withdrawal, or worse. Public backlash from fans who once admired her rise from the Bronx to global stardom. So now, as the world watches every move Diddy makes inside the courtroom, it's watching J.Lo just as closely outside of it. Because vanishing only fuels the fire, and silence in a moment. This loud speaks volumes. Let's be honest, Jennifer Lopez has crafted one of the most meticulously managed brands in the industry. She's weathered divorces, box office failures, and viral critiques, but she's always maintained control of the narrative until now. This time the narrative isn't in her hands, it's in a courtroom. And she's not the star, it's Diddy. And that's the danger. Because no matter how distant their past is, if her name surfaces in connection to those recordings, her image could take a blow that even 1,000 sold-out Vegas shows can't repair. This isn't about guilt, it's about perception, and in the court of public opinion, even being adjacent to controversy is enough to alter everything. The entertainment industry has seen its share of scandals. But this is unique. If Jennifer Lopez, one of the most carefully curated and widely respected celebrities of the past 3 decades, gets even remotely entangled in the fallout of the Diddy trial, it will signal a massive shift in the industry's playbook, not just for damage control, but for who gets shielded. And for how long, let's be clear. J.Lo isn't just a pop star. She's a billion-dollar empire. She's a business mogul. She's the kind of celebrity whose influence spans from music to fashion to finance for her to be drawn into a decades-old controversy via court testimony, no less tells the industry one thing loud and clear. No one's past is untouchable anymore, and it doesn't stop with her. If she's linked even peripherally to footage or stories being revisited in court, then every other celebrity who orbited that same era, who partied in the same circles, who toured on the same jets, who stayed silent when they saw things they shouldn't have, might suddenly face re-examination too, because this trial isn't just shining a light on Diddy. It's illuminating an entire era of celebrity culture that existed before the internet made accountability a necessity. Back when silence was loyalty. Back when secrets were power. Back when reputations were managed behind closed doors. Not in comment sections. Now those secrets are emerging. The walls are crumbling. And if recordings truly exist, ones that document what really happened during the years when celebrity excess was unchecked and unchallenged, then we're not just talking about lawsuits, we're talking about legacy destruction managers, publicists, record labels, even production companies that once ignored issues could find themselves implicated, not legally, but culturally. This is how trust erodes. This is how brands collapse. This is how fandoms turn, and if Jennifer Lopez becomes the face of that cultural reawakening, whether she chooses to or not, it's not just her reputation that's at stake. It's an entire industry's, because this isn't just about old recordings or courtroom shocks. This is about whether fame is still enough to protect people from the consequences of their proximity to power. And if the answer is no, then Hollywood's era of untouchables is officially over. Jennifer Lopez has faced plenty of storms in her career, but nothing like this. This one's not a breakup or a canceled tour. It's a legal tidal wave that could sweep her name into the center of a trial. She didn't initiate, but might not be able to escape. And as more names are whispered in the courtroom, more recordings are reviewed by the jury, and more questions arise about who knew what and when. One thing's clear, the spotlighted past never truly stays buried, especially when the cameras are rolling.